Marcus Delancey had spent 25 years protecting the streets of New York as a police officer, teaching his daughter Isabella about right and wrong, safety and danger. But when he saw a photograph of her stepping out of a $4 million Rolls-Royce in Dubai, diamonds glittering around her neck and the arm of Sheikh Rashid Al wrapped possessive around her waist, those same hands that had once cradled her as a baby would become the instruments of her death exactly 31 days later. Before we dive into this shocking true crime story, make sure to hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications so you never miss another case that exposes the dark side of obsession, honor, and deadly family secrets. And if you want exclusive behind-the-scenes content and early access to episodes, join our channel membership today. But let's go back to where it all began. On August 12, 2024, when a single Instagram post would trigger a countdown of murder that no one saw coming, the photograph appeared on a gossip account called Luxury Life Dubai at exactly 3:47 p.m. New York time. The image showed a stunning young woman with cascading dark hair, wearing a champagne-colored silk dress that probably cost more than most people's monthly rent, stepping out a pearl-white Rolls-Royce van outside the Burj Al Arab Hotel. But it wasn't the car or the dress that made the photo go viral within hours. It was a man beside her, Sheikh Rashid Al Mazrouei, one of Dubai's most eligible bachelors, worth an estimated $2.3 billion from his real estate empire, his hand resting on the small of her back with unmistakable intimacy. The caption read, "Mystery woman captures the heart of Dubai's most desired bachelor. American beauty Isabella Delancey spotted with Sheikh Rashid at exclusive private dinner." Sources say this is serious. Wedding bells in the desert. Within 6 hours, the post had 847,000 likes and 12,000 comments. Gossip sites across 3 continents picked up the story. But in a modest 2-bedroom apartment in Queens, New York, the photograph triggered something far more dangerous than internet speculation. It triggered a father's rage that would end in blood. Marcus Delancey was scrolling through his phone during his lunch break at the security firm where he now worked, having retired from the NYPD 3 years earlier with full honors. His coworker Danny had sent him the link with a simple message. "Bro, isn't this your daughter?" Marcus had stared at the screen for a full minute, his sandwich forgotten, his coffee growing cold. That was his Isabella, his little girl, his only child, the daughter he had raised alone after his wife, Sarah, died of cancer when Bella was just 11 years old, the girl he had protected, guided, and sacrificed everything for. And she was halfway around the world, draped in diamonds he didn't buy, wearing a dress he didn't approve of, with a man he had never met. The Sheikh's hand on her waist felt like a violation. The smile on her face felt like betrayal. But what really ignited the fury burning in Marcus's chest was something else entirely. It was the way she looked happy. Genuinely, radiantly happy. In a way, she had never looked happy with him. Marcus had known his daughter was in Dubai. She had told him she was there for a business conference with her marketing firm. She worked for a boutique digital marketing agency in Manhattan, specializing in luxury brands. The Dubai trip was supposedly about landing a new client. That conversation had happened 3 weeks ago, and Marcus had thought nothing of it. Bella was 23 years old, a Columbia University graduate, smart and independent. He had raised her to be strong, to be capable, but he had also raised her to be moral, to be pure, to understand that some things were sacred. The Delancey family had deep roots in traditional Catholic values. Marcus's father had been a deacon at their local church. His grandfather had immigrated from Ireland with nothing but his faith and his work ethic. The Delancey women were supposed to be modest, virtuous, and marry within their faith and their community. Sarah had embodied all those values. Marcus had assumed Bella would too. But this photograph told a different story. This photograph showed his daughter living a life he didn't recognize, with a man from a culture he didn't understand, in a world of excess and luxury that violated everything he believed in. And worse, she hadn't told him. She had lied. She had called him 2 days ago, her voice bright and cheerful, talking about meetings and presentations, never mentioning private dinners or Rolls Royces or billionaire sheiks. Marcus left work early that day, claiming he felt sick. He wasn't lying. He did feel sick. Sick with rage, sick with betrayal, sick with a terrible sense that he was losing control of something he had built his entire life around, his daughter's safety and purity. Back in his apartment, Marcus did what any modern father would do. He started digging. He searched every social media platform, every gossip site, every news outlet he could find. What he discovered made everything worse. This wasn't some chance encounter. This wasn't a business dinner that happened to include a wealthy client. Sheikh Rashid Al-Mazrouei had been linked to Isabella in photographs dating back 6 weeks. 6 weeks. There were images of them at a beach club in Dubai, at a private yacht party, at the opening of a new luxury hotel. Always together, always intimate, always smiling. Marcus found an interview with the Sheikh from 2 months earlier, where he was asked about his bachelor lifestyle. "I'm waiting for the right woman," Rashid had said with a charismatic smile. "Someone who sees me, not my wealth. Someone intelligent and independent. When I find her, everyone will know." The interviewer had pressed him. "Any prospects?" Rashid's smile had widened. "Perhaps. Time will tell." The timeline was becoming clear. Bella had gone to Dubai not for a business conference, but to be with this man. She had been seeing him for at least 6 weeks, possibly longer. She had been lying to her father for over a month. And based on the way gossip sites were speculating about engagement rings and wedding plans, this wasn't some casual fling. This was serious. Marcus tried calling Bella. The phone rang 4 times before going to voicemail. Her voice, bright and cheerful, invited him to leave a message. He hung up without speaking. His hands were shaking. He tried again an hour later. Again voicemail. Then he tried texting. "Bella, call me. It's important." No response. He waited 3 hours, his anger building with each passing minute. Finally, at 11:30 p.m. New York time, 7:30 a.m. Dubai time, his phone rang. "Idad." Bella's voice was breathless, happy. "Sorry I missed your calls. I was sleeping." "What's up? Is everything okay?" Marcus's voice was cold, controlled. "Are you still in Dubai?" A pause. "Yes. The conference got extended." "Why?" "The conference," Marcus repeated, his tone making the word sound like an accusation. "Right. The business conference." Another pause, longer this time. When Bella spoke again, her voice had changed. "Dad, what's going on?" "You tell me, Isabella. You tell me what's going on." The silence on the other end of the line was deafening. Marcus could hear background noise, voices speaking in Arabic, the distant sound of construction or traffic. "I don't understand what you're asking," Bella finally said, but her voice lacked conviction. "Luxury life Dubai," Marcus said. "Ring any bells?" The sharp intake of breath told him everything he needed to know. "Dad, I can explain." "Explain what?" "Explain how you've been lying to me for over a month. Explain how you're parading around with some Arab billionaire, like some kind of... He couldn't finish the sentence. The word he wanted to use felt too ugly, too cruel, but it was there, burning in his mind. "He's not some Arab billionaire," Bella said, her voice rising with emotion. "His name is Rashid, and I love him." The words hit Marcus like a physical blow. "You love him. You've known him for, what, 2 months? And you love him?" "Yes," Bella said firmly. "I love him, and he loves me. We're together. Dad, I was going to tell you. You just what? You just thought you'd wait until it showed up on the internet? You just thought you'd keep lying to your father?" "I wasn't lying. I knew you wouldn't understand. I knew you'd react exactly like this." "How am I supposed to react, Isabella? You're halfway around the world with a man I've never met, living a life I know nothing about." The argument escalated from there. Bella defending her choices, her right to make her own decisions, her happiness. Marcus demanding explanations, expressing his disappointment, his rage at being deceived. The conversation ended badly, with Bella hanging up in tears and Marcus throwing his phone across the room, where it hit the wall and shattered. He stood there in his small apartment, surrounded by the life he had built alone after Sarah died, staring at the photographs on the walls. Bella as a baby, Bella's first communion, wearing white, pure and innocent, Bella's high school graduation, Bella in her Columbia University sweatshirt, proud and accomplished. Every image represented a moment when Marcus knew exactly who his daughter was and exactly where she belonged. But somewhere between those photographs and now, Bella had become someone he didn't recognize. And Marcus Delancey, a man who had spent 25 years enforcing law and order, who believed in right and wrong with absolute certainty, could not accept that his daughter had chosen wrong. Over the next week, Marcus became obsessed. He tracked every mention of Bella and Rashid online. He watched their relationship bloom in real time through paparazzi photographs and social media posts. He saw them at exclusive restaurants, at private beaches, at charity galas where tickets cost $50,000 per person. He watched his daughter transform from a modest, hard-working girl he knew into someone who belonged in that world of excess, and it felt like watching her die. Bella tried to reach out several times, but Marcus ignored her calls. He wasn't ready to talk. He wasn't ready to accept. He needed time to think, to process, to figure out how to bring his daughter back from the edge of what he saw as moral destruction. But time was something Marcus Delancey wouldn't have, because in exactly 24 days, Bella would announce her engagement to Sheikh Rashid Al-Mazri'i. And 7 days after that, she would board a plane back to New York to try to reconcile with her father. That decision would cost Isabella Delancey her life. 3 months before her murder, Isabella Delancey was living the American dream in Manhattan, completely unaware that accepting a business meeting in Dubai would seal her fate. Bella had always been ambitious. After graduating from Columbia University with honors in marketing and communications, she landed a coveted position at Lumiere Agency, a boutique firm specializing in luxury brand campaigns. At 23, she was the youngest senior account executive they'd ever hired, managing million-dollar campaigns for jewelry brands, high-end hotels, and exclusive fashion houses. Her life in New York was everything she'd worked for. A small but stylish apartment in the West Village that she shared with her roommate Claire, morning runs along the Hudson River, weekend brunches in Soho, and a career trajectory that promised partner status by 30. She dated casually, nothing serious, focused primarily on building her professional reputation. Marcus was proud of her success, even if he worried about the lifestyle that came with it. The late nights, the industry parties, the exposure to wealth and excess that he felt contradicted their family values. In May 2024, Lumiere landed a potentially game-changing client, Al-Mazri'i Properties, a Dubai-based real estate conglomerate planning to expand into the American luxury market. They needed a comprehensive rebranding campaign, and they specifically requested a team that understood both Western aesthetics and Middle Eastern sensibilities. Bella's boss assigned her as a lead on the account, calling it the opportunity of a lifetime. The initial meetings were conducted via video conference. That's when Bella first saw Sheikh Rashid Al-Mazri'i. He wasn't what she expected. Instead of the traditional Arab dress she'd seen in photos, he wore perfectly tailored Italian suits. He spoke with a British accent, the result of education at Oxford and Cambridge. He was intelligent, charming, and genuinely interested in her ideas. Their professional chemistry was immediate, but it was more than that, and they both felt it. When Rashid invited the entire Lumiere team to Dubai for a week of site visits and strategy sessions, Bella's excitement was electric. She'd never been to the Middle East. The trip was scheduled for early August, and she spent weeks preparing presentations, researching Dubai's luxury market, and yes, buying new clothes appropriate for culture while still maintaining her professional image. Dubai overwhelmed her senses from the moment she landed. The impossible architecture, the blend of ancient tradition and futuristic ambition, the sheer scale of wealth on display everywhere. The Lumiere team stayed at the Burj Al Arab, in suites that cost more per night than Bella's monthly rent. On the second night, after a long strategy session, Rashid asked if she'd join him for dinner, just the two of them, to discuss the campaign in more detail. Bella knew it wasn't just about business. She went anyway. That dinner changed everything. They talked for 4 hours about marketing strategy for maybe 20 minutes. The rest was about life, dreams, culture, family. Rashid was surprisingly vulnerable, talking about the pressure of family expectations, the loneliness of wealth, the difficulty of finding someone who saw him as more than his fortune. Bella talked about losing her mother at 11, about raising herself while her father worked double shifts, about the drive to prove she belonged in rooms full of people who'd inherited what she'd had to earn. When he kissed her that night, standing on the balcony of his penthouse overlooking the Palm Jumeirah, Bella felt something she'd never experienced before. It wasn't just attraction, it was recognition. Like finding someone who spoke a language she thought only she understood. She knew it was dangerous. She knew her father would never approve. She knew inter-office romance, international complications, cultural differences, all of it. But she didn't care. For the first time in her life, Bella chose something purely because it made her happy. She extended her trip by 2 weeks, telling her boss the client needed additional consultation. It wasn't entirely a lie, but the real reason was Rashid. They were inseparable. He showed her a Dubai tourists never saw. Private beaches, family homes, traditional markets. She showed him a version of herself she'd never revealed to anyone, vulnerable, playful, unguarded. By the end of August, they were in love. Completely, impossibly, dangerously in love. Bella returned to New York in early September with a secret she couldn't share and a relationship she couldn't explain. She tried telling Marcus multiple times. She'd start the conversation, then lose her courage. How do you tell your traditional Catholic father that you're in love with a Muslim billionaire from the Middle East? How do you explain that you're considering leaving everything behind for a man you've known for weeks? So she lied. She said the Dubai trip had gone well. The client was happy. There might be more travel required. Marcus accepted it, proud of her success, unaware that his daughter was planning a future that would shatter everything he believed about her. When the Instagram post went viral in mid-September, exposing their relationship to the world, Bella's carefully constructed deception collapsed instantly. And in Queens, Marcus Delancey began planning something that no one, including Bella, saw coming. Marcus Delancey wasn't always the kind of man who could contemplate murder. 25 years of the NYPD had taught him to see the world in absolutes, right and wrong, law and chaos, protection and destruction. He joined the force at 22, following his father's footsteps, carrying the weight of Irish Catholic values that trace back 3 generations in Queens. His career had been exemplary, dozens of commendations, a reputation for integrity, and the respect of everyone who worked with him. But beneath that decorated surface lived a man whose worldview was rigid, unforgiving, and dangerously obsessed with control. When his wife Sarah died of ovarian cancer in 2013, leaving him alone with 11-year-old Isabella, Marcus made a vow at her funeral. He would protect their daughter from everything, from the corruption of modern society, from the moral decay he saw daily on New York streets, from men who would use her and discard her. He would keep Bella pure, safe, and worthy of the legacy Sarah left behind. For 12 years, Marcus succeeded. He raised Bella with strict rules, monitored her friendships, vetted her boyfriends with the intensity of a background investigator, and instilled in her the values he believed would keep her safe. When she got into Columbia, he was proud but worried. The university represented everything he feared: wealth, liberalism, exposure, cultures, and ideas that challenged his beliefs. But Bella thrived, and Marcus convinced himself that his foundation was strong enough to withstand any influence. The Instagram post shattered that illusion completely. For Marcus, seeing Bella with Sheik, Rashid wasn't just about her dating someone he didn't approve of. It was about everything that image represented. A Muslim man, unimaginable wealth that Marcus could never provide, a foreign culture that valued different things, and worst of all, public evidence that his daughter had escaped his control. The comments on that post haunted him. Strangers speculating about Bella's motives, suggesting she was a gold digger, calling her his American trophy, reducing his daughter to a transaction. Marcus couldn't separate his rage at those comments from his rage at Bella for putting herself in that position. Over the 3 weeks following their explosive phone call, Marcus's obsession deepened into something darker. He created fake social media accounts to follow every update about Bella and Rashid. He watched their relationship bloom in real time. Each new photograph another knife wound. When gossip sites reported that Rashid had given Bella a diamond bracelet worth $250,000, Marcus felt physically ill. When they were photographed at a private island resort, clearly in love, Marcus punched a hole in his apartment wall. His former colleagues at the precinct noticed a change. Danny, his old partner, invited him for drinks and asked if everything was okay. Marcus lied, said he was fine, just tired. But he wasn't fine. He was spiraling, consumed by thoughts of his daughter being corrupted, controlled, destroyed by a man in a world he couldn't compete with. Late at night, Marcus would stand in Bella's old bedroom, preserved exactly as she'd left it when she moved to Manhattan, and try to understand where he'd failed. What had he done wrong? Where had his protection fallen short? On October 3rd, Bella called him. Her voice was nervous but determined. "Dad, I need to tell you something. Rashid proposed." I said yes. "We're getting married in December." The silence on Marcus's end was deafening. "Dad, are you there?" When he finally spoke, his voice was hollow. "You're marrying him?" "Yes, I love him, and I'm flying to New York next week. I want you to meet him, to understand. Please, Dad, he's a good man." Marcus hung up without responding. That night, something broke inside Marcus Delancey. The daughter he'd raised, protected, and shaped was choosing a life that erased everything he'd built. She was marrying into a culture he didn't understand, moving to a country he'd never visit, becoming someone he couldn't recognize. And she expected him to accept it, to smile and celebrate while she threw away her life for a man who'd known her for 3 months. Marcus began planning. Not consciously at first, just idle thoughts about what would happen when Bella came home. Would he refuse to see her? Would he disown her? Would he try one more time to make her understand? But those thoughts slowly twisted into something else. If Bella went through with this marriage, she'd be lost to him forever. Not just geographically, but fundamentally. She'd become Mrs. Rashid Al-Mazri'i, living in Dubai, raising children in a culture Marcus didn't accept, forgetting everything Sarah had wanted for her. The thought that kept circling back, dark and insistent, was this. If he couldn't save her, maybe he could stop her from destroying herself. Maybe the greatest act of protection was preventing her from making a mistake she couldn't undo. Marcus knew it was wrong. 25 years of enforcing the law had taught him where that thinking led. But another voice, quieter and more desperate, whispered that some things were worth sacrificing for. His daughter's soul, his family's honor, Sarah's legacy. When Bella texted him her flight information, arriving October 12th at JFK, staying one night in New York before flying back to Dubai with Rashid, Marcus responded, "I'll pick you up." Bella's relief was palpable in her response. "Thank you, Dad. I love you so much. This is going to be okay. I promise." Marcus stared at those words for a long time. Then he deleted the conversation and began making preparations that had nothing to do with reconciliation and everything to do with making sure his daughter never made it back to Dubai alive. October 12, 2024. JFK International Airport, Terminal 4. Flight Emirates 202 from Dubai landed at 6:47 p.m., 30 minutes ahead of schedule. Isabella Delancey cleared customs by 7:30, dragging her Louis Vuitton suitcase, a gift from Rashid, through the arrivals hall. She was nervous, exhausted from a 14-hour flight, but also hopeful. Her father had agreed to see her. That had to mean something. She spotted Marcus near the exit, standing rigid, his face unreadable. When their eyes met, Bella felt a surge of emotion and quickened her pace. "Dad." She moved to hug him, but Marcus remained stiff, barely returning the embrace. "Let's get your bag," he said flatly, taking the suitcase without waiting for her response. The drive from JFK to Queens was silent, tension thick in the car. Bella tried several times to start a conversation. The flight was long, but, "How's Rashid? How have you been?" Each attempt met with monosyllabic responses or silence. By the time they pulled up to Marcus's apartment building, Bella's hope was eroding into fear. Inside the apartment, nothing had changed. The same furniture, the same photographs on the walls, the same oppressive sense that time had stopped the day she moved out. Marcus gestured to the kitchen table. "See, we need to talk." Bella sat, her hands trembling slightly. This was it, the conversation that would determine whether she had a father in her future or not. Marcus poured 2 glasses of whiskey, something he rarely did, and sat across from her. For a long moment, He just stared, his jaw clenched. "Do you understand what you've done?" he finally asked. "Dad, I fell in love. That's all. I know you don't approve of Rashid, but if you would just meet him." "Meet him?" Marcus's voice rose. "You want me to shake hands with the man who's taking my daughter away? Who's turning you into something I don't recognize? He's not taking me away. I'm choosing to build a life with someone I love. That's different." "Is it? You're moving to Dubai. You're converting to Islam. You're abandoning everything I raised you to be." The words hit Bella like accusations. "I'm not converting. We agreed I'd keep my faith. And I'm not abandoning anything. I'm growing, changing, becoming who I want to be." "Who he wants you to be," Marcus corrected bitterly. "No, Dad. Who I choose to be. This is my decision. My life." The argument escalated rapidly. Marcus's voice growing louder, harsher, years of control and fear pouring out in rage. Bella defending herself, her love, her right to choose her own path. The conversation devolved into accusations, each one more painful than the last. "You're betraying your mother's memory. Mom would want me to be happy. You're throwing away everything for money. I love him, not his money. You're a fool. You're a controlling tyrant." At 9:47 p.m., something in Marcus snapped. Bella had just said the words that broke him completely. "I'm leaving tomorrow, and whether you accept it or not, I'm marrying Rashid. I wish you could be happy for me, but I'm done waiting for your approval." She stood to leave, to go to the hotel where she planned to spend the night. Marcus stood too, blocking her path to the door. "You're not leaving," he said, his voice eerily calm. "Dad, move, please. I can't let you do this. I can't let you destroy yourself. You don't get to decide that." "Yes," Marcus said quietly. "Duh." What happened next would later be described in forensic reports as a sustained assault indicative of extreme emotional disturbance. Marcus grabbed Bella's arm, pulling her back toward the table. She screamed, tried to break free. They struggled, Bella fighting with desperate strength, Marcus overpowering her with the physical advantage of size and training. The apartment became a battlefield. Furniture overturned, glass shattered. Bella's phone, knocked from her hand, skittered under the couch. At 10:03 p.m., Marcus's hands closed around his daughter's throat. Bella's eyes, wide with terror and disbelief, locked with her father's. She tried to speak, to beg, to reason with the man who had raised her. But Marcus was beyond reason. In his mind, fractured by rage and grief and the loss of everything he'd built his life around, he believed he was saving her from a terrible mistake, saving her from herself, saving her soul, even if it meant taking her life. Isabella Delancey died at 10:09 p.m. on October 12, 2024, in her childhood home, killed by the hands that had once held her as a baby, protected her from nightmares, and taught her to ride a bicycle. The last thing she saw was her father's face, twisted with rage and sorrow, as he made a decision that no daughter should ever see her father make. When it was over, Marcus sat on the floor beside Bella's body for 3 hours, sobbing, talking to her, apologizing, trying to explain what had made sense in his mind just moments before, and now felt like the destruction of everything he'd ever loved. At 1:27 a.m., he called 911. "I killed my daughter," he said simply. "I need you to come arrest me." When police arrived, they found Marcus sitting at the kitchen table, Bella's body carefully arranged on the couch, covered with her mother's favorite blanket. He didn't resist. He didn't run. He confessed immediately, detailing everything with the precision of a former cop who understood exactly how investigations worked. The story broke on social media before the NYPD could even issue a statement. Isabella Delancey, the American woman engaged to Sheikh Rashid Al-Mazri'i, murdered by her own father. The news went global within hours, sparking conversations about honor killings, parental control, cultural conflict, and the deadly consequences of obsession disguised as protection. The NYPD homicide investigation was straightforward. Marcus Delancey's confession was detailed, coherent, and damning. Detective Sarah Chun, lead investigator on the case, had seen many domestic violence homicides in her 15 years with the department. But this one haunted her differently. The killer was a former cop, a decorated veteran who understood the system intimately and still chose murder over losing control of his daughter. The evidence was overwhelming. Forensics matched Marcus's DNA under Bella's fingernails from her desperate struggle. The timeline he provided matched the medical examiner's findings perfectly. His own 911 call provided a full confession. There was no question of guilt, only the question of why. When news broke internationally, the response was explosive. Sheikh Rashid Al Mazrui released a statement from Dubai, his grief palpable even through formal language. Isabella was the love of my life. She was brilliant, kind, and deserved a future full of joy. Her death is a tragedy that exposes the deadly cost of control, disguised as protection. I will honor her memory by supporting organizations that protect women from family violence. The trial began in January 2025. Prosecutor Janet Morrison presented a case that painted Marcus as a controlling father whose obsession with purity and tradition led to premeditated murder. This wasn't a crime of passion, Morrison told the jury during opening statements. Marcus Delancey had weeks to consider his actions. He chose murder because his daughter chose freedom. He killed her because he'd rather she be dead than happy on her own terms. The defense, led by public defender Michael Reeves, attempted an insanity defense, arguing that Marcus had suffered a psychotic break driven by grief, loss of control, and cultural anxiety. Psychiatrists testified about his deteriorating mental state in the weeks following the Instagram post. But the prosecution's rebuttal was devastating. Marcus's own testimony, where he admitted knowing murder was wrong but believing it was necessary to save her soul, destroyed any claim of insanity. The most powerful moment came when prosecutors played the voicemail Bella had left for her friend Claire just hours before her death. I'm so nervous, but also hopeful. Maybe Dad and I can finally find peace. I just wanted to see that I'm happy, that Rashid is good for me. I wish Mom were here. She'd understand. The courtroom was silent as Bella's voice, full of life and hope, filled the space. Several jurors were visibly emotional. Sheikh Rashid attended every day of the trial, sitting in the gallery, his presence a reminder the future Bella would never have. He never spoke to media, never made a spectacle of his grief, but his attendance spoke volumes. On the final day, when the jury returned with a guilty verdict on second-degree murder charges, Rashid closed his eyes and whispered something in Arabic that the court translator later revealed was a prayer for Bella's soul. Marcus Delancey was sentenced to 25 years to life in prison. During sentencing, Judge Patricia Williams delivered a statement that resonated far beyond the courtroom. Mr. Delancey, you claim you killed your daughter to protect her, but protection means allowing someone to grow, to choose, to live. You didn't protect Isabella. You destroyed her because you couldn't control her. Your actions represent the most tragic failure of parenthood imaginable. Choosing possession over love, tradition over humanity. The case sparked national conversations about parental control, honor-based violence in Western societies, and the intersection of tradition and modernity. Women's rights organizations use Bella's story to advocate for stronger domestic violence prevention programs and education about coercive control. The hashtag Justice for Isabella trended globally for weeks, with thousands sharing their own stories of escaping controlling families. Sheikh Rashid established the Isabella Delancey Foundation, funding organizations that help women escape abusive family situations. He never married, telling a reporter years later, "She was my once-in-a-lifetime. Some loves you don't recover from." The Queen's apartment where Bella died was eventually sold. The new owners, unaware of its history, turned it into a bright, modern space. But neighbors still speak about what happened there in hushed tones, a reminder that sometimes the greatest danger comes from those who claim to love us most. Marcus Delancey remains incarcerated at Sing Sing Correctional Facility. He refuses interviews, maintains no contact with his former colleagues, and reportedly spends most of his time in the prison library. Former inmates who've interacted with him say he talks to photographs of Bella constantly, still try to explain why killing her made sense, still believing he was protecting her from something worse than death. Isabella Bella Delancey was buried beside her mother Sarah in Queens Cemetery. Her headstone, paid for by Sheikh Rashid, reads simply, "Beloved daughter, brilliant mind, free spirit, 2001 to 2024, She chose love. The tragedy of Bella's murder isn't just that she died. It's that she died for crime of choosing her own happiness, of daring to build a life her father didn't approve of. Her death exposed a truth that many families still refuse to acknowledge. Love without freedom is not love at all. It's possession. And possession, when challenged, can turn deadly. The case of Marcus and Isabella Delancey remains a cautionary tale about the fatal consequences of parental control, the danger of valuing honor over humanity, and the reality that sometimes the people who claim to protect us are the ones we most need protection from.